Hello everyone, Pete and Grada here from the Purple House with your questions.
How are you? Before we answer your questions, we want to share something exciting today, like a slice of life from the Purple House, something that happened today.
Yep, I was just over in the clinic and a young couple come in with a young child and they were a bit concerned, their little boy eating dirt all the time. They were wondering what they could give him for parasites because they were thinking he might have picked up parasites from eating dirt. And so I said, well, don't stop him eating the dirt because he gets better, good intestinal bacteria from the dirt than anywhere else.
And it's cheap.
So let your kids play in the dirt. Caleb has actually researched that and found that there are a lot better good intestinal bacteria obtained from soil than there is even from his fermented foods. That's second best. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I then went on to ask, well, maybe he might, or suggest he might be after minerals and trace minerals. And they said, yeah, he probably is because he goes around licking our Himalayan salt lamps. And I said, well,
there's your answer.
That gives a good clue because I said some of our grandkids did exactly the same. They go past the big lamp we've got and have a lick of the salt. And so Grada and I both, we recommend young couples with young kids have a bowl of Himalayan salt on a low table that they can access, their children can access whenever they like.
And you have to show them, so I usually put their little finger into the salt bowl and make them lick it. Yeah. And they usually, you'd be surprised actually, they're really fine with it, they love it.
And they, up until about age 8, they have the same instinct as animals. So I said to these young couple, you know, farmers put lick blocks out for their animals and the animals go up and lick it whenever they like, but they don't never ever get too much. They don't just keep licking and licking and licking and get too many minerals or salt. And I often ask farmers who come to me, do you put salt licks down for your animals? And they say, yeah, of course. And then I ask them, do you get down and lick them yourself? And they say,
but they should, of course.
They should do because they know their animals are not getting minerals and trace minerals and we're not getting them either. So
our mineral levels are way, way worse than the cows or, you know, than the pets. And actually the same goes for your cats and dogs. Yep. You should leave maybe 2 bowls of water, just experience, one with a little bit of salt and one without. And we're talking about Himalayan salt, which is like a complete mineral mix.
It's got 84 different minerals and trace minerals.
Yeah.
And then there is an easy way if they were a bit concerned that he had picked up some parasites, which...
Or worms, which they most likely did.
Which everyone is prone to picking them up, and probably everyone in Australia would have parasites at some point in their life anyway, and most of the time, most likely.
Actually, the statistics say 80% of Australians have parasites.
So there's a powder that we recommend people have. It's called diatomaceous earth. It's mined from microscopic fossils up in North Queensland. It's almost pure silicon, and you have a teaspoonful a day for 4 weeks because most parasites or intestinal worms have a 3-week life cycle. So you kill them off as they are being hatched and you get rid of them within the 3-week period and just make sure for the last week. And then if you continue having 1 or 2 teaspoonfuls a week, after that you probably mop up the ones that we inadvertently swallow. And so I said you can give him that, but I then said, and there's something else that he really, really needs for his brain development, and that's iodine. And we need it for good brain development, our thyroid needs it, every cell of our body needs it, and it's missing, particularly in Tasmania. Apparently Tasmania has more people with goiters than the other states of Australia, but I've seen people from all over the different states of Australia, and my age, they all had milk to drink in primary school, even out back Western Australia. And I ask people often, do you know why you had to drink it in primary school? And nearly everyone says because of the calcium, but it wasn't because of calcium. It was iodine was put in that milk in those days, but we don't get much iodine anymore, so we need to supplement with it. Our kids need it for their brain development, so women need to be on it before they get pregnant, so their developing baby in utero can get as much iodine as they need.
What about the sperm though? The guys should have iodine too, really.
Well, they should do, yeah, because it regulates a lot of hormonal imbalances in the body as well. But I also had a woman come to me with a goiter. She had developed it during a second pregnancy, and the medical world wanted to remove her thyroid because it was pressing on her esophagus so she couldn't swallow properly. And I asked, did they tell you why you developed it? And she said, no. And within the breasts there are a lot of receptor sites for iodine. So when women get pregnant, their boobs grow exponentially. They slurp up a lot more iodine. So they were taking the iodine and the thyroid wasn't getting it. So a thyroid was working overtime to produce thyroxine. And
because the thyroid actually swells then as well, so that it is a bigger catchment area, and it makes sense. It
grows to produce more. Mm-hmm. And that's why people get goiter, and it's because of lack of iodine, but they hadn't suggested she take iodine. Mm-hmm. And I said to her, well, get stuck into this, have 10 or 20 drops a day, and hopefully your goiter might disappear.
You can also put it directly on your boobs in the morning, let's say 10 on each side, and it goes into the lymphatic tissue and all under the armpit. And the lymphatic system and the liver have an affinity for iodine as well. As well as your brain, as well as your thyroid, as well as...
There was a community in China that we've read articles on. They had, they were retarded, about 80% of the people had microcephaly, so small brain development.
And they were dwarfism.
Tiny little heads and little stature, little bodies.
Very low IQ. They couldn't function.
And they realised that they were totally deficient of iodine. So they drip-fed
the government
iodine into the water supply that they watered their gardens with. Mm-hmm. And it only took one generation. And they had normal children with normal brain.
The IQ went up.
And normal growth. It was amazing to see. You can probably Google it. It's
the China study.
Yeah, and it's very essential. Mm-hmm. But salt gives us 84 different minerals and trace minerals, Himalayan salt, and we need that. Adults need a quarter teaspoon for every litre of water they drink, but kids up to the age of 8, they know how much they need, so they won't have too much. So give them a bowl to access, go at.
Yeah, and when you think about it, by the way, if you're really sick or you're not doing well and you're admitted to a hospital, the first thing the medical staff do is hook you up to a saline drip, right? Yeah. And then you start to feel better within half an hour. So we could be doing the same by drinking salt water. Yeah. Okay, sorry, here's a phone call. What else were we going to say? So that's just really simple and important. Okay. With the children, you can just put a little, like 1 drop of iodine on their tummy or something like that.
Little kids, it'll go in through the skin, so 1 or 2 drops a day on any part of their soft skin, it'll go in. Occasionally it can irritate the skin a little bit on some people, so just put it in 1 or 2 drops in their water. I personally have it's half a dropper full, so it's probably 20 drops a day goes in the first glass of water every morning, and followed by another glass of water, and the taste has gone out of my mouth, and I haven't started to turn orange yet. I've been doing it for a while.
Actually, Peter and I have been taking iodine since 2006, when we came across it in a workshop in Sydney, and the teacher was a naturopath from America. She'd cured herself from cancer with iodine as well as other things, but iodine was the most important thing. And she also had a fertility clinic in America, and she treated all her couples with iodine first and foremost. So there's another reason to have your iodine if you suffer from infertility. And iodine is also needed to carry the pregnancy to full term. So, I mean, I just can't talk about it enough, because there seems to be so much fear around iodine. So if you're fearful about iodine, just pop a question in the comment box, and then we can reassure you. So anyway.
And it kills cancer cells.
Yeah.
It'll blow up immature cells. So, and there's a lot of receptor sites in the breasts and sex organs. So breast, and uterine, prostate, ovaries for women, and prostate for men. If you don't want to get cancer in those areas, just make sure you have your iodine.
That's right. And prostate cancer is actually more prevalent, I believe, than breast cancer, but we don't hear about it too much because guys don't like to talk about it. But quite often the prostate cancer starts to develop in their 30s, like when guys are in their 30s. So they really, everyone should be on iodine, right? Because you don't want to be in nappies by the time you're 45 or 50, which is quite often what happens, because a lot of surgeries go wrong and leave the guys, incontinent.
And impotent as well.
Impotent and incontinent, which is not really nice. A nice way to spend the second half of your life, especially if it can be prevented.
It's probably no wonder there's a higher incidence of suicide in men.
Yeah, maybe, because but lots of reasons.
But and polycystic ovaries, polycystic breasts, take your iodine. It's a sure sign that you're not getting anywhere near enough.
And we've taken it, like I said, now for 13 years. And I think we're looking pretty good. Well, we seem to have lots of energy. We definitely have way more energy than 20 years ago, that's for sure. Yeah, we get way more done, and our mental capacity seems to be pretty strong still, unless we are kidding ourselves.
We probably are, but who cares? No, what I'm aiming at is hopefully to keep fit and healthy until the day I die, and so I'm doing one of those things is take my iodine every day, and minerals and trace minerals, which we're not getting, so salt, water. So those simple things that we can do that really...
we have to tell people all the time.
Really improve things.
And of course, good fats, that's another thing we have to tell people all the time, like bump up your fat intake like good fats, right?
I've had a couple of fellas come to me, and all they did was have water, adequate water and salt and their iodine, and the fellas at their work were asking them what they were doing because they were just bounding around. Their energy was a lot better, that the fellas at their work were noticing that they were doing something different, and that's all they were doing, hydrating with minerals and trace minerals and iodine. So it's simple stuff can make a big difference.
Did you want to say something about the other client with a wheelchair or not, the lady with, or did we talk about that already? Lady with the Huntington's or not? Just another case.
It was just.
Then we finish up.
Huntington's chorea is another
I know.
higher incident.
We looked it up actually. Tasmania has its own special set of diseases, and you looked. Do you want to share what it is?
We have a higher incidence of Huntington's chorea due to a large family arriving in Tasmania from England
in the 1980s.
And multiple sclerosis is higher in Tasmania than the other states, and then goiters is the other one.
Mm-hmm. And Huntington's career is a horrible disease.
Degenerative brain disorder.
And it strikes people in their probably mid-30s, would you say?
Yeah, it can do.
And usually they say it's incurable.
Non-treatable too, really. They don't know what they can do to help. I had an elderly woman, she had just been diagnosed, brought into me about 6 years ago in a wheelchair. She couldn't walk anymore, and I just ran the biomedics tests and had a look at her live and dried blood, and she was out of balance in a few areas and needed lots of specific nutrients to bring her back into balance. She's still taking those, but for the last 6 years, she's been walking independently with a walking stick with minimal involuntary movements. And her hubby come in just recently and said he'd just come in to replenish her supplements, and he said 6 years ago they were planning her funeral, and here she is, she's still getting about. So sometimes our system can be right out of balance and we just haven't been getting the nutrients that our body needs to work a bit better with. And Huntington's career had been given that's the reason that they'd given how she was, but it was a system out of balance. So. Yeah.
And MS, we've had really, really good results with MS as well.
Yeah.
Like people go into remission, they don't get any worse, and a lot of the time they get better, right? So they stay in remission forever, but I guess we're all in remission. You could say Pete and I are in remission. I mean, who isn't in remission, if you know what I mean? It's all about maximizing what you've got and getting good quality quality of life to feel as much alive as you can under the circumstances with what you've got.
And if you really think about it, if genes can get turned on, they probably can be turned off as well.
Of course they can be turned on.
So, we are part of nature, and if you give nature what it needs, it'll rebalance itself. It'll get back into balance and get healthy.
Yeah. So we actually see quite a few clients with very, very serious health issues and like serious mental illness at different times as well. We don't actually really treat the illnesses per se, but we work towards balancing
it's balancing the body, giving the body the nutrients it needs to function properly.
As well as, and then we do energy medicine as well, which works really, it's very, very effective. So please share this video with people who you think need to hear this kind of stuff, so that people start to believe in their own bodies and feel a little bit more positive about their situation. Iron blood levels. Do you know why vitamin B12 can't be absorbed by the body when the blood levels are high? What sort of blood levels? Do you want to...
the B12 blood levels high.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll check it out and reply in the comment. I'll reply in the message, if that's okay. Lee, if you can be a little bit more specific even, then we can give you a better answer. Okay? So, hope you found this helpful, and let us know what you want us to talk about next week, Pete?
Yep.
But we have lots of case studies anyway that we can share.
Yeah.
And hope you stay safe, have a really good warm, near the fire, warm up somewhere.
Yep.
And we'll answer your questions.
Have a good week.
Yeah. And rest up, stay safe, and bunker down. That's what winter is for. Put your roots down. And hibernate
a bit.
Give your body a chance to relax. All right.
Okay.
Talk to you next week.
Bye. Bye.